everyone, and welcome to our virtual talk pairing. I'm Elisabetta Mero, founder of LAQ and co-curator with Valentina Rignano of the exhibition Maybe in May, now on view until June 13th at Basilica di San Celso in Milan. Today's program is in conjunction with this exhibition. We are very, very happy to present our special guest, Mizuki Takahashi. She's the Executive Director and Chief Curator at CHAT, Center for Heritage, Arts and Textile in Hong Kong. Marta Kowalewska, Chief Curator at Central Museum of Textiles in Łódź, Poland. And Alessandra Tempesti, Curator at Lotto Zero Prato in Italy. Also, we are very glad to have here with us the artist Gioia Di Girolamo, Alice Marie, Marie Giacotei, Rada Cozzeli, and Michela Martello. Unfortunately, Elena Elasmar can be with us today. Valentina Rignano and I will moderate the three talks by the curators. And at the end of each talk, we will have a moment for a discussion or to read the questions from the audience. The public, if there is, can use the box Q&A to submit their questions, and we will try to read them. I would like also to inform you that this webinar is recorded. So before starting with the talks, I would like to share with you some info about our organization LAQ and about today's program. LAQ is a no-profit organization founded in 2018 in Milan in order to manage the most part of the events at the Basilica di San Celso, one of the oldest and still little known monuments in Milan. We organize exhibitions, guided tours, and promote cultural projects. We also, we are going to fundraise. We have fundraising activities. Our ideal focus is mainly to promote artists and projects that address their communications to the development of a critical approach toward the current issues that we think are the most urgent to talk about. LAQ bases its mission on three key principles: attention to heritage, connection to the evolution of contemporaneity, and social commitment. We think that art can help fuel a cultural renewal, which is already underway, in which the well-being of the individual is placed at the center of attention in its relation to that of the community. During the lockdown, we have developed a stronger interest in thinking about new ways to work for cultural projects with a new humanitarian approach connected with an idea of care. This year, we are focused our attention on the observation of the social stereotypes connected to women and minorities. We as LAQ have been researching the textile medium, not only for its technical possibilities, but also for its multiple meanings. Today, through the valuable contribution of three international curators, part of the Textile Culture Net, and with the artist, we will discuss issues related to the concept of caring in contemporary art, about textiles as a talking material to convey social issues, and about collaboration as a current possibility to overpass cultural limits and stereotypes with a focus on women. Before giving the word to Mizuki for the first talk, I invite now Valentina Rignano to share with us some info and pictures about the exhibition we have curated together. And Valentina collaborates with LAQ since September 2020, and she is an independent curator and writer working on projects between London and Milan. Thank you, Valentina.
Thank you, Elisabetta. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you for being here today. I just wanted to briefly present to you the exhibition and to show you some images before we begin just with the discussion, just to contextualize the topics of today's webinar and to show you a bit more what we did with the artists at the Basilica. So this exhibition, Maybe in May, is the first of a series of cultural activities organized by LAQ at the Basilica di San Celso in collaboration with local and international institutions and galleries. We worked with galleries from Milan, Galleria Bonelli, Galleria Bianconi, and Contemporary, and with Ballon Rouge Collective in Brussels. And so maybe in May, the title of the exhibition underlines the psychological and factual difficulty that we had, that everyone has, I think, in carrying out an exhibition in uncertain times during the lockdown. Where planning and programming seemed like really impossible actions. So that was the title. And the exhibition groups the work of 6 artists who experiment in the practice with textile medium with an interest that is not only focused on exploring the technical aspects of fiber, but also to investigate the breadth of possible meanings that it can convey through the organic qualities. So this talking material that is now very interesting to look at in visual arts, not only in fiber art, can create connections and can also be employed to talk about the body in social and political aspects, and also to overcome gender constriction, binarism, and to give new possible meanings to the concept of identity and what does it mean. An interesting fact of the exhibition is the space, the exhibition space. This basilica is very ancient, is a very ancient basilica in the center of Milan, and it has many elements, many artistic elements from the 11th century. So the install was also interesting because we could have the artists, contemporary artists, dialogue with these with images. If I can, here we go. So the first one was the empty basilica. Here we have a central view. When you walk in the basilica, we have the works by Alix Marie, then we have Michela Martello on the left, Marie Jacotet in the middle, and on the window, Elena Lasmar. And in this view, you also see Marta Kowalewska's work. So you see there are a few elements. There is a Byzantine Madonna, interesting to look at in conjunction with the textiles of the exhibition. So just a few images to give you an idea. Here we have also Gioia Di Girolamo's work that you see from the side, and the video of Rada Kozzeli. And yes, this was just a quick overview, and perhaps we can elaborate a bit more on the practice of the artist and on the show later with the help of our guests. But I think now we can start with the talks, and Elisabetta, back to you to introduce our first panelist.
Thank you, Valentina. Yes, now I would like to invite Mizuki Takahashi. She's joined us from Hong Kong. Hi, Mizuki. For CHAT, Center for Heritage and Culture and Textile. She has created exhibitions and programs since 2016, including the current Interweaving Poetic Code on view until July 19th. Among the others, we mentioned the traveling exhibition Making Nuno, Japanese textiles from Sudoreiko, held in 2019 in Hong Kong, and now on view in London at the Japan House as second edition. Prior to this, Mizuki was a senior curator at the Contemporary Art Center Art Tower Mito in Tokyo, where she curated the exhibition that incorporated different disciplines. Thank you, Mizuki, to be here with us. I leave you the word.
Okay. Thank you, Elisabetta, for kind introductions, and big congratulations for such amazing achievement, all the artists and Elisabetta and Valentina. it is really pity I cannot travel to Milan to see the show. I know the May in Milan, such a wonderful weather, you know, it would be nice. But and okay, so today's I would like to briefly introduce the chat Center for Heritage and Textile first, because perhaps most of the people's and the artists may not be familiar with why the textile related to art centers is in Hong Kong. And I was also, before moving to Hong Kong in 2016, I didn't know anything about the textile industry in Hong Kong. And then I want to continue to introduce one of the art pieces which are showing in current exhibitions in the Weaving Poetic Code, which is strongly related to the idea of care. Then I want to open the question to curators as well as to the artists. Okay, let me share the screen first. Okay, so the chat is Center for Heritage Arts and Textile, and the Weaving Creative Experience for All is our mantra and spirit. So then, as you can see that this, we are trying to be inclusive as much as possible. And chat is in-house in renovated cotton spinning mills in Hong Kong. So I want to give you a kind of the visual outline of the Hong Kong. You know, so the Hong Kong consists of the small islands as well as a peninsula. So when you see the kind of tourist image of the Hong Kong, that's mainly show the Hong Kong island side. It's as known as a kind of financial hub in Hong Kong with a lot of the highlights building. And the chat is located in this the blue star dot, and that area is the first the industrial town settled by the government, colonial government at the time. And in the 1950s, after the World War II, and during the social upheaval periods in mainland China, many capitalists and the workers, they migrated to Hong Kong from mainland, and they set up the new business. And one of them was the textile. And chat is as I said, located housed in the renovated cotton spinning factory mills, which was opened in 1954 by the Dr. Chan Dinwa. He was also a migrant from mainland. And the textile business, one of the biggest driving force in economy in Hong Kong between 1950s and the early 1990s. And so that they produce the cotton yarn, and also produce the fabric, and also denim, and exported to the Europe and the States, also the other country in Asia. So the Hong Kong, before turning into the financial hub, actually Hong Kong was an industrial, the hotspot in this region. So this was the spinning factory. The before renovations, that factory was operated until 2008. Then the Nanfung cotton spinning factory stopped the business, and last Hong Kong cotton spinner, they stopped the business in 2014. So there is no textile big manufacturer in Hong Kong anymore. Yeah, and that was the heyday, and the factory in Hong Kong. Okay, so then the owner, this granddaughter of this factory, she decided to not to demolish the factory building. Instead, she decided to convert into the culture and business hub and back to the community. And Chat opened March in 2019, so this is very, very young organizations. And we have kind of the three the missions and the goals, and the co-run, co-creation, and the collaboration. So it's not like the top-down approach that telling that, oh, this is a masterpiece, you must know. Rather than this, we try to continue the production space of the production and the creations, and inviting the community to participate. So there we have the three gallery spaces in Chat, and one space is dedicated to to narrate Hong Kong's textile industry past. So the showing the old machines and also the vintage items which are produced in Hong Kong. And the middle of the space, we also set the workshop tables, and that we didn't want to make the permanent display static, rather than we want to make the space very active, and introducing many hands-on activities which the different generation can participate and create something. Yeah, like that. And the shelves, we also show the many objects and produced in Hong Kong. The Hong Kong, we are unlike the old cities in Europe or Asia. The Hong Kong textile production is very industrial. They produce some very everyday objects like and the sheets and the tablecloths and the towel or workers' uniform. So yeah, but that some things we hardly find the value in these products. But we want to show these products, and also they want to enhance the awareness to the workers behind the production scene. And we also invite retired textile worker to demonstrate how machine worked. And so Gallery 1 and 2, we organize the 3 seasonal exhibition in a year. And spring, then normally we organize a thematic show, inviting the artists from Asia. And summers, we invite the kind of, how to say that, is a mid-career artist, and giving the opportunity to play with the textile material or subject matter. And winter seasons, we're going to highlight on the textile design and also the innovation. So that is some kind of the examples of the artworks we have exhibited so far. And there's artists we have invited who don't have to work always with textile. We also pretty much happy to invite the artists, video artists, the artists working with the photographs and the sculpture, but want to giving opportunity to experiment with the fabrics, because it's kind of the challenging the limit of this material. So in a way, we are not the textile museum in conventional sense. So this is the show. So now in shown in Japan House London, Sudoreiko making Nuno textile. In this exhibition, the challenge was how to show the textile without just hanging the piece of the fabric. So we decided to show the process of making and inviting the video artists to restage the process of the making. And these exhibitions we had the last spring, unconstrained textile stitching method and crossing ideas, that those artists are also the not textile artists, but that they are willing to play with the textile material or subject matter. Yeah, so that we have the artists work with their embroidery craftsmen who are normally working on the very detailed embroidery for tourist souvenir in North Korea. And we also have the painter who the dyeing the public to represent the different color skin tone of the people living in New York. And we also invite the artists from Philippines, Alma Quinto. She organized a workshop inviting the domestic worker in Hong Kong, and making the soft sculptures to celebrate their dignity and the contribution to the Hong Kong society as well as their home country, because their income also needs to return to the Philippines. And now the chat hosting the exhibitions Interweaving Poetic Chord, inviting the media artist, educator, and performance artist Che Tae-yoon. He is a Korean American artist, and he also the media artist have never worked with the textile. But needless to say, the jacquard weaving machine is the archetype of the computer. So and he is pretty much interested in the idea of care. So for the exhibition, we decided to explore how we can use the computation textile for the care, and inviting the artists who have the common interest with us. So this is the installation shot. One of the participating artists, Laura Davendorf. She is based in the Colorado in the States. And she is a designer, also the communication science scholar. For this exhibition, she presents the two artworks, both of them the hand woven by herself, and entitled "Where," and she made this piece of the fabric during the lockdown of COVID-19. And she spin the yarn and also the work by herself, and also the stitching, and also felting by herself, and made a kind of the makeshift poncho for her to wear. And okay. So this is the projects and the chronicle in a year spent making, measuring, marking experience as the mother during COVID-19 lockdown. So she is the mother of the two young daughters. And the COVID-19, so naturally forced her to work in her domestic space. She couldn't work in her laboratory in university. So she had to work always together with her young daughters. So that's also giving a kind of the stress to her. But she said that is positive stress. And she wondering how to do her professional work and the domestic work parallelly. And that's lead her to make this wear piece. And while making this piece in domestic space, and the felted part is also connected with the conductive thread, and that works as a computer to memory the pressure her body receives during her wearing. So I want to show how she made this piece first. So let me show the video. capture something.
That's pretty cool.
And you need to, mommy, you need to have very tiny slices of apple.
Okay. That's pretty cool. Yeah, show me something.
And you need to, mommy, you need to have tiny slices of apple.
Okay.
Not a whole apple.
Okay. Yeah, show me something.
Can you see video now?
Yes, yes.
Maybe it's the same size. It's like just split on all those different levels.
Yeah, so I will jump the video because
They have a
it's
two-car
40 minutes long. So. And this is the scene, actually Laura is wearing it. And she put the camera on her forehead.
The mangoes aren't ripe yet. She's about like Margot Mama.
And then Frankie?
Wait, you said Margot Mama Frank?
Yeah, so, okay. Okay. So the as you can see, the her video shows the always the kids surrounding with her and asking the attentions, and while even she was working. So that is a way this is how she can take care of her daughters and as well as her professional career. So that is a way to how to kind of reconcile, the frustration and stress. But that stress actually captured the memory when her body received the pressure from the daughter, So and also that stress also can replay which body parts receive the pressures with the heat. So this public works as a computer memory, but as well as a memory of the pressures during the COVID-19 period. So yeah, so okay. Then my questions to the curator as well as the artist. And okay, so in making the exhibition under the challenging circumstances of COVID-19, what do you care the most in conceptualizing the exhibition? And the question to the artist, so how do textile materials work to embody the idea of care in your artistic practices? And also, how do you take care of yourself as an individual, which is pursuing the professional career as an artist? Okay.
Okay, thank you,
very much.
Mizuki. Thank you for this presentation. It was very, very interesting. And also thank you for this question that I would like to answer in the best way. I have to mute someone. Maybe Rada, I don't know. No, I have mute.
I think I need to stop the sounds. I think. Sorry.
Okay, okay. It was from the video. Okay, great. Actually, during the lockdown, we first investigated.
Sorry, Peter. Where is the sound coming from?
I mute you. Okay. Yes, we investigated the concept of miracles. We were inspired by the history of the Basilica and its area that is connected according to religious traditions to miracles that put an end to terrible epidemics from the past. So then we started to observe contemporary signs of renewal that were happening around us and also in the art world, such as the birth of new networks at the Textile Culture Net. This investigation became a big project that contains Maybe May, this webinar, and the Festival of Expressiveness in October, and another event that we hope to realize next November. I felt the need to develop a new working utopic method that considers three aspects. The care of the context, the place, the local community, the care of the people involved in a project, the artists, the staff, the volunteers, the galleries or other partners, and the care of the environment for the choice of the materials of the artworks that has to be responsive and sustainable. And textile is always the best because you can transport it in an easy way, also with an express courier, and it could employ recycled materials, as in Michela Martello's artwork. So for us, caring, but I was really close to the artwork that you show. But for us, caring could be seen not only as a theoretical concept, but also as a practice. Caring is actually the fil rouge that connects all the aspects of the process behind this exhibition and of the persons today involved. We are absolutely aware of how many meanings or definitions the word caring can take. But in this specific case of the exhibition, Maybe May, caring is conceived as an attitude of collaboration and support that among women has developed fast, and it does not need to be explained because it is immediately understood through the intuition. Actually, caring can be seen as a collective way to grow up together as human beings. That was our point. In addition, we focus our attention on the new possibilities that the 6 artists have suggested through their work and with their own approach and the point of view about issues related to the identity of women. So for us, Mizuki, I hope that this answer was clear, but it was very interesting to explore your exhibition. And maybe I will leave the word to the artist, Valentina, or you wanna?
Yeah, no, I think it would be nice to open up to the artist. Maybe if you want to answer Mizuki's question, any of you.
Yeah, the answer was, how do textile materials work to embody the idea of care in your artistic practices?
Or you could also answer the other one about the care of yourself, self-care. Joya, you want to go? You're muted.
I know I muted her because of the, but maybe, okay.
Ah, okay.
I wanna give her the word if she wants to talk.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hello. So about me, my family is very tied with the fabric since my grandfather used to sell it, and my mother too. And my father owned a sport apparel company. So fabrics have always been present in my family history, both in traditional and professional way. And this is the reason for me, the reason why to me use it is like to place it in comfort zone, yes. And also at the same time mean to take care of something or someone, this is.
No, that's interesting. I didn't know that your family was in this field.
Yeah.
Did your family have the time to take care of you?
Sorry?
Did your family have the sufficient time to take care of you during their business?
Oh, yes. But I don't live, I live now not too close to my family. So now I have only my mother near me for a very short time because she lives far. And the other part is not with me anymore. So yeah, I have my sister. But they take care of me a lot, yes, with my business.
Good. Anyone else wants to join?
Yes.
Yeah, I see the Lorda is raising.
Okay, I can speak. Thank you, Mizuki, for your questions and for everything you talk about. To me, textile is just part of my work. I don't think about it. I just use it. But I think I have a little story about caring and textile connected with women and with caring about someone and family. Because when I was a child, I was very alone because my mother was always working. But when she was at home, she was always embroidering. And that was during the Yugoslavia war, because we are from Yugoslavia. My family is from Yugoslavia. And we were in Italy, but our family was in Bosnia. So, and after years, recently, my mother told me that during those years, she started to suffer from tachycardia because she was too worried for her family. But the only thing that could calm her down was to do embroidery. And so she was always doing that, like in the waiting room of the doctor, or on the bus, even at work, in the bathroom. She was, because her hands were always shaking, but embroidering, she could calm down. So, and I really like to embroider too, and I always think about it when I do my embroidery, and I calm down too.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, you know, the embroidering and the knitting is works very therapeutic way. Yeah, that's I don't know why. I think it's perhaps the psychologists that need to to study about that. Why it's also helps is because of repetitive and yeah, it's
Therapeutic. Therapeutic. That's interesting. Okay.
I think that it's really interesting the way that, from what you were saying, that care is not always care towards someone else, but it's also self-care, and it's like preserving one's mental health or one's well-being. And it's also like in this sense, it could help your everyday life and your mental health, but also it could be a powerful tool to contrast the exploitation of the bodies and something like more political in a way, but also on a more personal level. So it's interesting how care could be like inside and then towards others, but also it's always connected. That's really
I think it's in a way the result taking care of yourself. It also might be difficult to take care of the others as well. Or then perhaps it's, by taking care of the others, you might feel that you are taking care of yourself. Yeah, as you said, that it's a kind of the connecting one, the other. Yeah, supplement.
Yeah. So shall we move to the second guest?
Yes, if we don't have other questions, we can present our second guest, Marta Kowalewska. Marta is an historian and critic. She was the curator of the 16th International Tapestry Triennial, Crossing Borders, and exhibition, among others. I would like to mention Metamorphism and Rebellion of the Matter in 2018. She was curator of the exhibition 100 Flags for the Centenary of the Polish Women's Suffrage. And she's a co-author of the book From Tapestry to Fiber Art, the Lausanne Biennials, 1962-1995. And she's member of the jury of International Exhibition of Textile Art and chairperson of the Marta Magdalena Bakanowicz Kosmowska. Thank you, Marta, to be with us.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and I'm so happy that I can be together today. And of course, I regret that we couldn't meet personally because it's always so nice to meet and to feel new energy. But of course, I will try to introduce some of my projects.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
My presentation, my short presentation, will be not maybe so close to the idea of caring, but because Elisabetta asked me to tell what is the role of tapestry in the contemporary art, but also about textile connecting with women problems, issues. So I would like to show you some examples of my work connecting with this subject. Okay, can you show? Yes.
Yeah, we can see.
Yes. The main idea of my presentation is the sentence that the textile is a woman. In folk art, it was women who were involved in weaving. Of course, it's not only characteristic for Poland, it's a common phenomenon worldwide. Therefore, the fabric medium, with its haptic nature and important role in traditional rites and rituals, a whole range of meanings and functions, seems to be the best suited to talk about women, femininity, and their problems. Of course, we must not forget about the contribution of male artists to the development of this field of art, the clearest example of which may be the guild character of work in weaving manufacturers in Western Europe, especially in France and in the Netherlands. Here, however, master weavers concentrated mainly on finding methods to the most faithful, perfect translation of patterns and painting cartoons onto the woven surface. Even the attempts to renew tapestry, which appeared in France in the first half of the 20th century, can hardly be called a revolution of the language of the textile. In 1930s in Paris, leading modernist artists experimented with tapestry thanks to Marie Coutoli. She commissioned the most famous artists of her time, like Leger, Picasso, Braque, Le Corbusier, Man Ray, or Miro, among others, to create projects for the legendary Aubusson tapestry workshops. However, in the mill around the Marie Coutoli Gallery in Paris, the interest in tapestries ended with the transfer of paintings onto tapestries with an absolute reproduction of the painterly cartoon. In the same way, Jalirsa attempts to renew the language of tapestry were still based on previously prepared cartoon. Meanwhile, the fundamental changes come shortly after the end of the Second World War, and the huge role of women artists in the process of emancipation of textile as a full-fledged means of artistic expression, impossible to deny. Much has been said in this context about Poland because it was a group of Polish women artists who showed a new perspective of textile. They have proved that by focusing on textile unique qualities, bringing them to the fore, artists' work directly on the loom is not just an experiment, but a lasting trend in art, a revolution. Artists such as Magdalena Abakanowicz or Jolanta Owicka demonstrated the power of intuition in the way they understood textile properties, and introduction is an essential building block of the work's meaningful layer. In the 60s, mostly young women from Poland, Yugoslavia, Romania, and Czechoslovakia drew attention with their courageous realization. But not only women behind the Aryan cartoon experimented with textile. Many great female artists in the world used the very medium of textile in their artistic practices, like Leonor Tawney, Sheila Hicks, Eva Hesse. Boldly experimented with the material, although Polish women gave a permanent direction to the development of textile art. Textile achieved significant success in the 60s and 70s. Artists believed that unexplored possibilities could be discovered by going back to the origins of the art of weaving. It was because women best understood this medium, its possibilities, and used it boldly, guided by the instinct. Thus, women artists become part of the current of women's art, which strongly marked, I'm sorry. I don't know why. Can you see?
Now we can see the PowerPoint. Okay. We see just you.
Okay.
Maybe you have to share again the.
I don't know why. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry, we can.
I have communication line.
If you want, we can share your.
Oh no.
Vale, you can share her file.
No, I have an information that my Firefox. Oh yes, okay. Maybe this time.
If you want, I have it here. I can share it, but you would need to tell me when to move from one slide to the other.
Ah, okay, okay. So maybe we'll try once more. And now, can you see? No.
No.
Okay, so please.
I do it. Sure.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay.
Great.
Here we go.
Okay. So
you tell me, huh?
Yes.
Okay, we were here.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so maybe next, please. Okay. In Poland, yes, that's right. In Poland, male artists also contributed to the understanding of enormous potential of textile. It is enough to mention a professor of Warsaw Academy of Fine Arts, Mieczysław Szymański, who instilled in his students the principles of respect of the material, encouraged them to work directly in the loom without a previously prepared project, but intending to use the properties of the material as a fully fledged building block of the composition. As early as in the 50s, he encouraged to use a thick weft, use materials not yet associated with the textile, like metal or wood, and revealing the structure of the textile, the warp. These features later become characteristic for the Polish school of textile. Okay, can we see next slide? However, the revolution in the field turned out to be a woman. Perhaps this is deeply rooted in the European culture. It's enough to mention the myth of Arachne, a very talented weaver, competed with Athena as to which of them would create the most beautiful tapestry. She wove excellent tapestry, which represented the gods in amorous relation with mortals. She won with Athena the competition for the most beautiful tapestry. Out of jealousy, Athena tore up her work. In despair, Arachne committed suicide, but Athena, driven by remorse, brought her back to life, but gave her the form of a spider. As a spider, Arachne could continue to weave, taking the thread from her body. The well-known feminist scholar Caroline Helliburn analyzes myths, describe the activity of weaving as a metaphor for female speech, language, female history, and at the same time protest. But this creative power of women must be aroused opposition. The new outlook of the group of the Polish women weavers was met with openness by the organizer of Lausanne Biennale, where the proposals were presented in 60s at an international forum. However, groups of master weavers, mainly from French manufacturers, jointly protested against these iconoclastic actions. The organizer of the Biennale were even warned about the little girls, as the artists from Poland were called. History, however, has proved these little girls right. In the history of European art, however, there was a long-standing mindset that put white men in the forefront. In Poland, that was also reflected in the language. Can we see next slide? Okay, oh, thank you. This was pointed out by the artist Małgorzata Markiewicz, who I invited to co-curate the Jubilee exhibition of the 60th anniversary of the Central Museum of Textile in Łódź. The exhibition entitled Department Open, Department Closed was created by a curatorial team under my direction. I also invited Dominika Krogulska-Czekalska, Marcin Różyc to cooperate on individual parts of the exhibition. Małgorzata Markiewicz prepared project for 3 double warp textiles, which were then made by Bernalda Roś and Lucyna Kędzierska, folk weavers from Podlasie, a region in northeastern Poland, when folk traditions are very strong. The projects contained only text and colors, while the size and proportion of the letters were reflected in the decision of the women weaving them. They feature fragments of text from older museum's publication about women artists and museum employees. One of the tapestries is devoted to the legendary Eleonora Plutyńska. She was a professor of the Warsaw Academy of Fine Arts, who from the first half of the 20th century worked to revive the traditional of folk weaving. Thanks to her, the unique technique of double warp textile was revived. The second textile recalls the figure of first director and founder of our museum, Krystyna Kondratuk, while the third one is the work of researchers and employees of the museum, Halina Jurga and Anna Meiro. The works were made in one of the oldest weaving technique, double warp textile, but they carry the current content. The series is an exciting example of reinterpretation of source text and presenting them into a contemporary context. Małgorzata Markiewicz pointed out that these texts are characterized by an inconsistent use of feminine endings. The higher position in the hierarchy, the more often women titled themselves in masculine term, using feminitives to describe less prestigious function they performed. According to the artist, there was and still is a belief that feminitives sound less serious. Feminitives are such endings in profession and function that clearly indicated that they were performed by women. They also occur in English, for example, actor and actress, but are less frequent. Then feminitives were used to denote a lowly position, for example, cleaning ladies and weavers. However, when a woman was promoted, she already became a manager, director in masculine form. Markiewicz took original documents related to the founder of the Central Museum of Textile, Krystyna Kondratuk, and crossed out the masculine form of the professionals, replacing it with the feminine one. She transferred these records to the textile project. Interestingly, the project caused controversy among folk women weavers. Several of them refused to make the textiles, claiming that the idea of the work emphasized and glorified the changes in language, which in their opinion were unnecessary and detracted from the seriousness of commemorate figures. The project itself raised an important social issue, the widespread adoption of masculine names for professionals, and emphasized the importance of position. Another work that we could see in the next slide. Another work created by Małgorzata Markiewicz for the anniversary exhibition is crocheted figures of Medusa, symbolizing a fearful femininity. It is the embodiment of repressed desires and drivers suppressed in women by the culture. The fear of her is the fear of the creative power of woman. The artist was referring here to Helen Sigzu essay, The Love of Medusa. The writer and philosopher published her manifesto in this text. The point is, for a woman to finally write herself, she must begin to write about women and bring women into the world of writing. This is why Markiewicz's entire artistic practice emphasizes women's writing of art, and as the exhibition at the museum shows, also of history. In Sigzu's views of women, with a view of a woman, Medusa has been instilled in us as a threatening, deadly creature, but also one that inspires fear of cognition. Meanwhile, look into Medusa's face does not kill, but shows her beauty. Markiewicz has attempted to tame this fear of femininity in her installation of the exhibition. And please, next slide. Currently, Medusa can still be found in the exhibition spaces in our museum, and her large format photographs. Yes, we can. So we can see next. With her large format photographs, a documentation of performance among forest and green meadow are presented in an exhibition in Grazer Zollhaus in Austria. Yes, and we can see next. The largest armory in the world. Oh no, I'm sorry, no. Medusa appears here surrounded by the tools of war, which was considered a man's craft. The juxtaposition of the personification of male strength of the battlefield with the archetypical force drawn from the power of nature opened Markiewicz's work to new interpretation. Okay, and next, next slide. At the museum, at Jubilee exhibition, the voice of women spoke with greater force. Dominika Krogulska-Czekarska presented her work Pass Along. The artist also made a work especially for the show. Its form is based on the kontusz sash, which was an important element of male attire of Polish nobility in the 17th and 18th century. These sacks were originally very long and decorated with various ornaments, often floral. In Krogulska-Czekarska's work, the floral motifs were replaced by the stylized form, referring to the glottis, the fragment of the larynx where the voice is shaped. Stylization reminiscent of floral element links this detail to a woman speaks of the problem and on objectively treated body and suppressed voice. The artist created a jacquard textile 6 meters long. The strength of this work comes from combining traditional decorative function with contemporary critical art iconography of a social nature, especially in the context of women's protest that swept through Poland in the autumn of 2020. Okay, and can we see next? The museum is featured other presentation with a distinctly feminist tinge, which showed how extensive and appropriate a textile medium is for expressing important women's issues. In November 2019, Poland celebrates the centenary of Polish women's suffrage. That was a significant achievement showing the modernity of the Polish state, as it took place just 2 weeks after the Poland regained its independence after a long period of captivity. Okay, we can next. The year 2090 was full of many events and projects to remind us of the regaining of Poland independence in November 1919. However, the issue of women's suffrage got somehow lost in this. a group of artists founded the 100 Flags Collective, precisely to remember and commemorate this event and make us reflect on the situation of women in Poland at the beginning of the 21st century. Okay, we can next. A proclamation was issued inviting all persons for women for whom women's rights are not indifferent participate in this project. They were asked to make their own flags, which was to be a manifesto at the same time. Its form was not imposed in any way. Flag was a catchphrase, an association. No specific form was expected, encouraging people to let their imagination run wide and create artifacts individually or in groups that referred to the anniversary. Okay, we can see next. The overreading idea of this 100 Flag Collective was also to treat the 100th anniversary of Polish women's suffrage as a celebration of everyone, regardless of gender, views, social states, place of origin or residence. The culminating moment was a march with flags through Warsaw. More than 200 flags from Poland and the world, Kenya, Brasilia, China, the Netherlands, Germany, appeared on the march. The works created were powerful and ideologically committed to the problems of exclusion, violence against women, smaller career opportunities, especially in art academies, and many others. The flags were not only made by artists, although mostly. I'm delighted that the 100 Flags Collective accepted the invitation and we could present the flags in our museum. This established the project as an important artistic event. The exhibition at the Central Museum of Textile Łódź was an opportunity to critically look at the place women occupy in contemporary times and the rules in political reality, and also provided an interesting presentation of the dominant artistic strategies in understanding the concept of the flag as a symbol of community and its conceptual fetish. I think that it's one more slide about this exhibition. The exhibition also served as a backdrop for a number of participatory and audience engaging activities, workshops, concerts, and performances. The choice of a venue, the Central Museum of Textile, a former cotton factory where women worked in very difficult conditions, also open up new contexts for interpretation textile as a medium for social and topical content. Okay, we can see next. Oh yes, it's the last, I think, that shows our exhibition. Okay, oh yes, okay, please next. The most important artistic event organized by the museum is the National Triennale of Tapestry. It's a broadly conceived event which, thanks to its new formula, attracts the attention even of those artists who do not treat the textile as the primary medium in their creative practice. Okay, we can see next. As a result, it is a painting that shows textile in the broad context of recent art phenomena, showing how much artists have to say through textile. The previous 16 edition of the 2019 Triennale, which I curated, presented no shortage of feminist theme. Okay, next, please. Okay, and one more. Oh yes, a work entitled Bit of Skirt by a British artist, Lucy Brown, redefined the notion of femininity squeezed into the narrow confessions of convenience expressed by a dress. Brown deconstructed dresses from 50s and created fantastic sculpture installation out of them. Additionally, the title of the work is a slang vulgar term for a girl. Okay, and next. The artist from the Netherlands, Judy Hoemeyer, created Totem, a work referring to the Canadian program of taking children away from the indigenous mothers and giving them to their families of European roots. While the work spoke most strongly to the themes of racism and sense of ethnicity, it's also explicitly speak out against the subjective treatment of single mothers with indigenous roots who have had their children forcibly taken from them. Okay, and next. Lisa Palm's work, Kashubian Flowers, which recalls the traditional decorative forms found on the textile from Kashubia, a region in northern Poland, takes the shape of vagina, a symbol of female power. And next. Joanna Zemanek work, branding, recalled the tradition of burning marks on animal bodies, stignification. This became in her work a metaphor for imposing the rights of ownership on all beings. The strong feminist theme presented in her artistic practice makes it possible to interpret the floral ornamentation on leather fragments as a symbol of femininity dominated by the male world. Okay, and the next. It is important to remember that many historical works or artistic practice are reinterpreted today. This is not a new phenomenon. When the priority of utility and aesthetic disappeared from textile art and content becomes a key to understand a work. The most durable work are these in which we can constantly find threads that reflect some contemporary issues. It's therefore not surprising that we analyze historical works in the context of current of thoughts. The work of Magdalena Abakanowicz, a legendary Polish artist who revolutionized the language of textile, is also subjective to this process. Okay, and the next. Although she refused to be pigeonholed in any art trends, including feminist one, she's becoming an essential feature in women's art today, especially her textile, which quickly took on the form of soft monumental sculpture, have become symbols of female biological power. Some works to resemble vaginas in form confirm researchers' interpretation. The scale of transformation in Abakanowicz art was extraordinary, although the artist herself avoided easily associations with textile. The relation using the medium remained the most avant-garde and the most powerful. One might be attempt to say that without Abakanowicz, artistic textile would look completely different, or perhaps they would not have achieved the success we saw in the 60s and 70s. I devoted the exhibition Metamorphism at our museum to this period to recall how thinking about art was born and developed into such spectacular forms not only woven ones. What was essential for me was the process itself, the way of reaching the autonomy of textile, making woven organic forms independent despite the prevailing rules and stereotypes of thinking about the medium of textile. The title metamorphisms came from a term describing a series of processes that lead to changes in the structure of rocks, their composition. Abakanowicz art was a change which moved the tectonic of the art world. She introduced new forms, new existences into the world. She became a demiurge, a creator of world, and a mother of new organism. She demonstrated a power that perfectly fits with the feminist current and emphasizes how women change the world of art. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask the artist, because I've never learned Italian, but I heard that in Italian you have the same problem with feminatives. And what do you think about textile? Textile is a woman, and what do you think it is important to tell about problems and situation of women in 21st century?
Maybe Alex, can you tell us something maybe about it? You are, yeah, if you want, because you are very connected to themes about feminism, and you use textile to express.
I'm not Italian. I'm not sure I understood the question though. Can you just repeat the question?
I've heard that in Italian language is you have feminitives too.
I don't speak Italian.
Oh, no, sorry. She's maybe Michela should better to answer. Yeah, Michela, are you? Sorry, Alex. Are you available to answer to?
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Although I moved from Italy many years ago, probably this was one of the reasons why I moved. The difficulties on expressing myself as a woman artist. But although let's say that I took a lot of inspirations from my womanhood in my family, from my mother, my grandmother. They used to knit all the time, embroidery, stitching, doing a lot of beautiful, beautiful artwork that was not used as artwork, but mainly was used as, let's say, just stuff that they were putting on the table under dish. So I remember I couldn't see all those beautiful articraft that they were doing, but they remained with me. And then when I moved to New York, let's say that Italian tradition from the domesticity became an amazing luggage for artwork. So even though it was very difficult to express myself as an artist in Italy, what happened in Italy was extremely precious for me to become who I am as an artist. So I cannot, I don't want to judge very harshly the difficulty for feminism to become a feminist artist in Italy, because it's a part of my being. Mm-hmm. It's part of my artistic expressions. So I like to integrate very much now what the difficulty of artistic expression in Italy and and make it something that it's the way it is. So, and now I think it's not as it used to be anymore. I mean, we can see this now, for instance, in this exhibition with curated by Elisabetta and Valentina, because it's something really beautiful. That the thing that was related as just a domestic action became an artistic action. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I answer a little bit, because literally I'm away from Italy since 20 years. I come back once a year. I'm Italian, so the tradition is very strong within myself, but I was able to express myself in New York. And now, when I come back in Italy, I have opportunity to express myself finally, but it took many, many years.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So are you happy that you moved? Yes.
Yes, I am.
The story sounds very similar to Louise Bourgeois, with front and the weaving and his family history.
Yeah, although she had children, and for her it was even more difficult, very challenging, very she had a very strong will to emerge from this heavy tradition of It was very inspiring to listen and looking at these images so far from Mizuki and Marta. I really loved. I just want to jump to a plane and go to Hong Kong and Poland. And very, very inspirational, very much. Thank you.
Yes, and I regret that I couldn't see your exhibition.
It was lovely, very beautiful.
Yes, it's a pity that it will take only to the end or in the middle of June. Yes.
Yeah. Soon. Okay, so maybe if you agree, we can go on with Alessandra Tempesti. She's a curator at Lotto Zero, Prato. It's a center for textile design, art and culture from another famous textile industry district. And since 2016, she has been the curator of the Kunsthalle of Lotto Zero. Her interests are mainly focused on studying the textile medium in contemporary art. And she has curated a large number of exhibitions. Among the others, we mentioned Spatial Poetry and the recent About a Worker, co-curator with Elena Ianeselli in collaboration with Centro per l'Arte Luigi Pecci. Grazie Alessandra to be here with us.
Thank you, Elisabetta and Valentina. Thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to get to know all these very interesting artists. So I'm going to share my presentation. Okay. Okay. So I will start with a short introduction about Lotto Zero. Lotto Zero is a center for textile design, art and culture. It was founded in 2016, so we are a very young space too, as chat. We are based in Prato, that is one of the most important textile districts of Europe that counts around 10,000 active companies in the field of textile and fashion. Our space is divided into a shared studio space, a co-working space. We have an exhibition area that we call Kunsthalle. And we have a laboratory equipped with several machineries to work with some textile techniques manually. such as sewing, knitting, screen printing, dyeing, felting, and weaving. We work both as a consultancy studio and design office and a creative hub. So we go on in parallel with these different activities. Our fil rouge is textile. And our activities are addressed to all the creative people operating in the field of textile design, textile art, and fashion. And we help them in developing the project and also facilitating a contact and exchange between them and the local companies of the districts. And also we have an apartment directly above our headquarters where we can host artists and residency in Prato. So I would say that residency is one of our core activities, because mostly being at the heart of the textile district, we can really be a space for research and production. We are a small team composed of Tessa and Arianna Moroder, the co-founders of LAQ, because I didn't say at the beginning that we are a totally independent space. So the Tessa and Arianna are the co-founders and the owners of the space. Then there is Elena Ianeselli, the project manager for the fashion and design project, and me in charge of the activities in the Stalle. And so we are an all-women team, and we have a very collaborative way of working, and totally without a hierarchy, I would say. And well, another collaborative and all-woman experience is the Textile Culture Net that started approximately 1 year ago. The Textile Culture Net is an international network of 4 textile institutions, which includes, besides us, CHAT, the Center of Higher Arts, Heritage and Textiles in Hong Kong, the Central Museum of Textiles of Łódź in Poland, and the Textile Museum of Tilburg in the Netherlands. And the network was born during the first lockdown by an invitation from CHAT, with the aim of finding a new way of collaborating beyond distance during those difficult times, findings way also to build a kind of solidarity and connectivity between us, between textile institutions, small, medium-scale museums, and cultural spaces like us. So since spring 2020, we have started to meet online regularly, and we have started to exchange our knowledge, to share projects, idea, curatorial approach, methodologies, and the output of our first collaboration is a 1 year program of online exhibitions that we launched on our Instagram channels starting from last October. and the program will end this August. So this is the vision of the Textile Culture Net, build a curatorial network to open a new chapter in curatorship of textile culture from transcultural and cross-disciplinary angles through idea exchange. And also with the Textile Culture Net, we try to explore and expand the vision of the textile art and textile design. That is something that we have done also in our Kustalle since the beginning of our activities in 2016. Lotto Zero opened with a group exhibition of 13 artists, both Italian and international artists, with this wide range of possibility to work with the textile material. This was our first idea. This exhibition was a kind of manifesto for us, that we launched this space also for our intent to investigate textile in contemporary art. So the exhibition was a way to explore all these different possibility to work with textile across different languages, such as video, sculpture, ceramic, tapestry, but also there were performative actions, so performance, painting, installations. And at that time, we didn't want intentionally to use any term or category, but we decided to adopt the expression textile medium. And also in the following years, we pushed forward this investigation on the medium of textile, also with artists who were experimenting with textile for the first time. That was the case of Luca Vanello, who is an Italian artist who is actually living and working in Brussels. And this project was a result of a very long residency between 2017 and 2019, of course not continuously, but in several steps. And I would say that this is our most conceptual art project. The theme of this project, named Generous Images Unable to Reach, is the relationship between objects and the materiality they are made of, and our emotion when we have to deal with the loss of someone. So it's because it's in these emotional thunderstorms that the material, the objects acquire a different specific meaning. So the Luca Vanello is, in his research, is interested in manipulating material and reversing matter, so bringing the matter to a previous state. So he worked with a collection of garments belonged to a deceased person that were kept by her partner for several years. And he brought this clothing back to the state of fibers according to a particular process that is typical in the textile district of Prato, that it's called the regeneration of wool. So the possibility to create a new textile, a new thread using used clothes and waste material. So with our mediation, Luca Vanello managed to make some steps of the regeneration of these clothing materials. And at the end, he used a small amount of regenerated fibers in his sculptures, mixing different kind of materials like silicone, aluminum tubes, plants deprived of the chlorophyll. So he's really interested in manipulating materials. So at the end, the fabric was almost impossible to see, to recognize in the work, but was really the main part, the origin of this project. So this just to give you an example of the kind of project we developed here. This is a more recent project. We are still working on this with this duo of architects called IDLE. They are developing this research project called the soft architecture. They are trying to imagine an architecture made of soft materials. So trying to challenge the convention in building and imagine new possibility to shape space and inhabit domestic space. And so with all these different experience, we in the last years, we kept on investigating and questioning the nature of textile in contemporary art, also because we are seeing really a large amount of textile art in important exhibition in the last decade, also in the last Documenta in Kassel and Biennial. So I would like to share with you these very interesting thoughts about textile art by a Canadian art historian, Ty Smith. So these are just some thoughts I extrapolated from an essay by Ty Smith. Textile is a kind of marker of materiality in a post-medium age. It holds a plurality of concepts at once technical, formal, political, and in place. Textile in contemporary art is a particular mode of thinking through and organizing other media, other materials. It's a hybrid binding of other media. Textile is a relational field, making possible new thoughts about materiality. The textile of contemporary art is at once brutally material and immaterial, concrete and abstract. So this, I think it was interesting to share in the context of the maybe in May exhibition, also because I think it's a further step beyond our starting point that was about the textile medium. So I think these are very interesting reflections that expand even more the reflection about textile. And also I found several links and connection with the artists presented at the exhibition. I just put a detail of an artwork taken from the images that Elisabetta sent to me. But yes, I found a focus in the materiality, the tactile quality of textile in the work of Gioia Di Girolamo, but also the overlapping of techniques, hybridization of techniques in the work of Marie Jacotey, Alix Marie, also Elena Elas-Mars, and also reaching out other territories like the performance, the painting and drawing, also with the other artists. So I really enjoyed a lot discovering these contemporary researches through these exhibitions. I think it's gathered a really interesting ensemble of different perspectives on the textile medium, let's say like this. And yeah, I would like to ask some specific questions to some artists, because I had a look also at all their other artworks, their research, and yes, I would like to ask, for example, to Alix Marie, how do you perceive and do you react to the specificity of the textile material when you work with photography, when you experiment with photography, expanding the medium through the installation and the use of other supports?
I think in the work in the show Stretch, it was very much finding a mirroring between content and form, so the subject matter and the materiality of the fabric. So the body is stretching, and I used a stretched fabric, which is lycra, because it also was talking about yoga and the relationship between the photographer and the model. But in a more general sense, I was interested, and a lot of my research at first was based on the links, the historical links between photography and fabric and textile. And you can see the very, like the relationship starts very early on, because what we think of as a photograph or an image that is, you know, an image of reality imprinted on any kind of medium, is actually the first one we can think of is the myth of, well, the biblical story of Saint Veronica and her veil onto Jesus, onto which Jesus' face was printed as a miracle. So I did a lot of research on photography and fabric and their link, and we can see a lot of fetishism in the practice of photography, or how we think of the medium. And I wrote a dissertation a long time ago when I was studying on fetishism, photography, and femininity, or like female photographers. And one of the only links that we could find of like female fetishists was actually linked to fabric, and it was women that would steal fabric, especially silk and velvet, to masturbate with it. So it was all like kind of a research around photography and fabric, and how they have been linked kind of like since the dawn of times almost. But I guess in my projects, I always try and choose the material that is going to respond to the subject matter. And because I work a lot around the body, fabric has taken a bigger place than other material recently, because it obviously has an interaction, a sense, like a sensuality that talks to the body straight away, whether it's sheets or clothing. But yeah, I think that's kind of what interested me with this.
So yeah, you made a research from the very, very beginning about this relationship. And you, Marie, is this the first time you printed your drawing and painting on fabric?
No, not really, actually. I've been, so I think my practice is like rooted in drawing, but I've always been drawing on like very different mediums. So textile is one of them. I've been, working on paper, but also like on plastic sheets and on plaster and textile. And I've been drawing directly on textile before, and I've also like tried to find other ways of translating drawing, like in a finer way or like more precise way. Because, for instance, like the pastel drawings that are printed now, I mean, the work you can see exhibited now are quite fine and crisp and have like loads of subtleties that is really hard to translate when you try to do this on textile if you're not doing like painting, for instance, on a big canvas. So I came on like to printing on textile, I don't know, maybe like 5 years ago or something, for different kind of projects, various things. So yeah, no, not the first time, but I'm trying to develop like on different kind of textiles and different ways of putting drawings onto fabric, basically.
And the work that you exhibited maybe in May are printed on velvet, right?
Like the bigger piece is printed on velvet, and the other one, well, actually the screenshot you took, like the picture of the face, that's, I think it's a kind of jersey. It's like more like stretchy, and it looks more like a sweatshirt almost material.
And of course, the different kind of fabric gives completely different sensation also to the visual effect of the original artworks.
Yeah, for sure, it transforms it. I really love like the velvet with like this kind of dry pastel. It sort of complements each other.
Yeah, because the velvet, it's so soft and
and kind of like skin feel almost, but also like has a quite domestic, connotation, of course, like with velvet curtains and things like that, or like even like couch covers or yeah.
And well, do you have more time, Elisabetta, for other questions?
Valentina, what do you think? The microphone, you are mute now.
Sorry. I think maybe we have time for one more question. What do you think?
Oh. So I would like to ask to Rada something more about the role of dress and costume in our performance.
Yes, well, to me, costume and dresses in my performance are very important because it's like I became one of my painting, because I'm a painter mostly, or that, I don't know, I use different media, and I'm very obsessive with my work. So when I finish my energy with painting, I just start to do something else, but without thinking, I just do things to continue to create, and then I just switch to another media. So I don't know how I started to make this video with performance, but I did. So I just started to. I'm only interested in beauty and my research of beauty. So I'm very simple.
So it's a kind of tableau vivant also, let's say, because
yes,
of this connection with. painting.
Yeah, but I think it's obvious, because if you're an artist and you do a video or a performance, everything must seem in control of the artist. So everything must be in my aesthetic view. And so to me, it's like spontaneous. I don't project anything. I just do it like in 2 hours. I want to make the video and I start to put things on myself. I start to make the makeup and I start to feel this character, which I don't know who she is, but it doesn't matter. She just starts singing. And I like this kind of mysterious part of the work, because I think too much in my life. So I need to feel free and like a little bit drunk when I do my things in art. Yeah. Even if I'm not drunk.
Okay. Do we have, I don't know, do you have any questions? Any one of you, like, to one another, or something you want to add?
Okay.
I have a question to the Elisabetta.
Okay.
So obviously the space, because of that also the old, the basilica, and I'm sure that there's many restrictions the way of displaying. How did you define, or how do you decide to juxtapose the artworks each other? How do you try to make the dialogue between the artworks?
Yes, for every exhibition, it's always a challenge, because we can't touch the walls, we can't use, we don't have support to create in an easy way a setting. So after about 2 years of experiments, we are now aware that the best way to work with this space is with the sculptures and textiles, not just because it's an easy way, but because the effects that you have at the end, it's always more strong. And we think that sculptures, installations, textile art can really be valorized here, and the space too. So one of our objective is to valorize the context. So choosing the right material is also an important theme for us. Yeah.
I also have the question to the artists. This time, the Elisabetta invited you guys because of the concept, but obviously, as you know, that from this talk event, she also invite the artists who are working with the textile. So when you are invited to these exhibitions, did you think kind of the sense of the resistance is not be included or categorized into the textile artist? That is a question to the artist. Are you willing to be included as in this sort of the textile show?
I mean, I work on loads of different materials, so I don't fear being labeled as a textile artist at all.
Yeah, but there's consequently this show is all the artists working on the textile somehow.
Yeah.
Don't you think that might generate the the categories which might include you into the alternative textile artist?
I'm not scared of that, and I guess it's not I wouldn't see it as bad either.
Mm.
I don't have any despite or negative apprehension of textile artists. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the reasons why I'm asking that is also there sometimes when I'm talking with the artists about these particular materials, they also have the very strong idea of the textile art. So the so therefore okay. So when I talk with the artists as I'm working for the Center for Heritage and Textile, they sometimes immediately react, "Oh, I'm not a textile artist." Yeah, that I'm not invited. I'm talking with you because you're a textile artist, but I'm kind of inviting you to explore the materials. So why don't you try to be open to play with that? That is kind of the challenge I have been often facing with.
I think actually, like for contemporary artists that don't fear this categorization, it's incredibly helpful and great to collaborate with specific institutions and people that know their material, because that's kind of what happens sometimes in contemporary art is an artist works with like various, like a lot of like diverse range of materials, and you kind of, I mean, at least in my case, like I love to really research the history of a material and the techniques before I work with it. So the opportunity to collaborate with a whole institution that can provide you that through curators and facilities is amazing.
Yeah, that's kind of the artist we are looking for with the open mind.
We're ready to come to Hong Kong anytime.
It's interesting you asking this because recently I've been told by one curator in New York for an exhibition if I could stretch some of my textile because they didn't want me to be categorized as a textile artist. And for me, it was another language. I couldn't understand what she was telling me because I had no idea that there is this risk of being categorized as a textile artist. I just follow my intuition. I'm very spontaneous in my process. So
yeah, but it's also very frustrating that this categorization seem to happen with mediums that, like, craft. I can think of like ceramics as well. That would be the craft, same kind of artisanal.
Yeah. How about the photography? You know, sometimes the photography also the kind of technique specific kind of the art.
Yeah, for sure. There's still, unfortunately, lots of categorizations, and the photography world is sometimes very much a bubble that kind of flirts with contemporary art, but not always. And it's it depends of your practice, and I don't think it's a bad thing that purely essential photography institution exists, but it is sometimes a challenge indeed to kind of work with.
Yeah, because it's I think it's a Marta also having this kind of the challenge with, because it's a Poland, as you they talked, there is a long history, right, in tapestry making or textile arts. They also somehow want to champion their traditional methodologies, right? And which sometimes they are quite, how to say, the protective to champions their kind of the circle.
But I think that for a few years, textile is very, how to say, fashionable.
Fashionable.
On the top, yes, it's on the top during the circus of interest of artists. So I noticed that some of the contemporary artists, especially young, treated tapestry like something, how to say, that they should try to use so because maybe of exhibition of Annie Albers or Sheila Hicks in Central Pompidou. So I think that craft it's very popular now, using craft tools or so I think that it's changed. But
all right.
Of course, it will be so nice if you participate in next edition of Triennale. Not to bother that it's a textile Triennale.
And also, it's a luxury because through working with different strands of institutions, then you reach a different audience. And the audience response makes you learn and think sometimes of things that you haven't thought of. And also with the cultural context and the history of not only the medium, but of the culture and the country that goes with it. So, yeah. Nucleast.
Shall we go to the conclusions?
Okay. Thank you, everyone, really, for each contribution that was really, really precious. And it was, I think, super interesting and with so many stimulations. We will maybe share this webinar. I don't know if you are all agree. And yes, just to remind you, the exhibition maybe May is open until next Sunday. And thank you to everyone again. And we hope to organize other webinar. And it was our first experience. we will try to go on.
Yeah, to have more discussions. Thank you so much to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Valentina, grazie Elisabetta.
Grazie.
Thank you very much.
Merci. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao a tutte.